Hey guys, I've taken a couple questions, phone calls about HubSpot. I wanted to take a second and go over a quick how-to and set some expectations. I'm wanting the way that y'all are using this and log in some of the deals so that they report back the right way to me. So I thought I would quickly go through some of this and give just a quick scenario on how this might work. So if you come to HubSpot, you'll come to the dashboard. And then from here at the top, you can decide what you want to do. So in this scenario, we had a customer come in. He's going to be, new business. And we quoted him a tractor. So we're going to log that as if that happened. So if we click on contacts, we're going to go here and we're going to add a new contact. So required field, Brendan Perkins is his last name. Then it's going to come here and ask us just a couple more questions. So this particular guy we're going to say was a walk-in. If y'all see or have another scenario that might need to be added to this list, just let me know. But I kind of did this off the top of my head, so it can be adjusted because I created this particular field. So he's a walk-in. It's going to default to you as the owner. And then we got his phone number because we want to be able to call him back. So we'll put that in real quick, and then we'll continue. So that builds the customer. From here, you can actually add notes, email the customer, call, log activity. Some of that might be done specifically under the contact record. Some of it might be done underneath a deal record. So the way I want everybody to think about this is if there's an opportunity, a potential for a sale, then I want there to be a deal created. I want the opportunity to be in the near future. So I've kind of used the guideline if there's an opportunity to sell in the next 3 months. Some people take that long. Typically, our sales cycle's much quicker than that. But, if you know that they're going to be looking to buy in the next month or two, 3 months tops, that's when I want a deal created so we can start tracking that and log what we're doing to gain that business. So if that's not the case, if maybe you've just talked to them, they come in the store, they're just getting some basic information, but you don't feel like there's really an opportunity to buy, I still want you to be able to log that because it would be a touch. And you could do that through here, through logging the activity. Let's say it was a phone call, or like I said here, this was a walk-in, so it was basically a meeting that you had with them. You could describe what maybe that was, but in our scenario, he's looking to buy here in the next month, and so we're going to create a deal because there's a real potential to buy. Now, what I see a lot of people doing is putting notes in underneath the deal or underneath the customer. That is not really what the note is for when we're putting information specific to, like when you talk to them or maybe even about the deal itself. The way that this should be used is, let's say in the conversation you found some common ground with the guy. So maybe you found out his son goes to OSU. Maybe you found out his wife works at the vet that you used. And anyway, so you found these personal connections. That way in the future, if you were to close this deal and you sold him, you could come back to that and you would have that there as a reminder, as a piece of conversation you can start. So, a lot of times customers are pretty impressed if you can say, hey, how's your kid doing at OSU? Or, how's the wife, doing at her job, or whatever those little tidbits are. So when you create those, if they're pieces of information about the customer and you're creating that note, you can pin that under actions. That way that stays at the top. Because as you go through, if you create a bunch of activity for a customer, as time goes on, some of that might, sink to the bottom. And the purpose of this is so that you can easily get back to that information that comes up whenever you're making those calls to them, checking in on them. So in this scenario, like I said, he came in, he wants to buy a tractor. So there's a potential buy. So we're actually going to create a deal. So from that, we're going to click under the deal, create a deal. There's a specific naming convention that I'm really wanting to use when we're doing this. So that's going to be the equipment is that you're quoting him, something general. It doesn't have to be the specific model, so it's not going to be SVL 95-HFC. It just can be SVL 95. Same here on the 3901. And then their name. So that when you're looking at the dashboard, you can easily reference that in your mind on the customer and the equipment. So we're going to call this 3901 Brendan Perkins. This pipeline is going to be the default pipeline. That's where it's going to go, the one we're using. At this point in this scenario, we've actually identified the product. We've met him. We have identified the product, and we've quoted him. We've given him a quote sheet. And for the package, we have a general idea about what it's going to be. In the initial stages, this doesn't have to be, to the penny. If you actually have a quote that you've quoted him, if you know what that is, you can go ahead and put that specific dollar amount. But if you just put a pretty close ballpark, then that's okay. So from there, I want you to give what you think is a pretty close close date. So, in conversation, that he's looking to purchase in the next couple of weeks. So with that being said, you might, in fact, he said in the conversation, he wants to, have it done by Thanksgiving. So we're going to put on here tentative close date by the 24th. Right here, source of the deal. This is again so that it reports back and I can kind of track and kind of have a feel for what the customers are that we're dealing with or the deals. So this was actually a walk-in customer. It's new business to us. It's not associated with the company, but it is associated with this contact, Brendan Perkins, that we created earlier. So we're going to create that deal. As you're logging this, we created the customer, we created the deal so we could track it. And we might want to log the activity. Now, here's where I'm seeing, a lot of times I'm just seeing people type in notes here, and that doesn't really report back the way that I would like it, because I really want to be able to see, and there's a number of things that are we're being able to utilize to kind of analyze this. He was a walk-in customer. We coded this a walk-in deal on this activity. And this will just help you in the future. So you remember, in what setting you had these conversations. This was a walk-in, so we're going to log it as a meeting. So customer came in, we identified the tractor that he wants to use as a brush hog tractor at his house. He has 20 acres. Okay, so we're going to log that as an activity. And you can see that goes here. So the way we might use notes are something specific to the deal that is going to be, some helpful information. So he says, let's say, customer wants to finance for 60 months. That way you can kind of pin that at the top, and that way, every time you come back to this, you'll remember he's going to finance it. Or maybe it's even he wanted to do something that might be more untypical maybe it's 84 months and he's going to put 20% down, or maybe it's that he wants annual payments, something to that effect. That way, things about the deal that aren't necessarily the way we're coding the specific types of interactions we're having, whether that be a call or an email. That's where that's where you're going to log the activity. Also, just as an FYI, you can actually email out of the deal or the deal screen or the contact screen. So that being said, we don't have an email for him. So what will we do? So we can actually go to the contact. We can update that email. So that's bparkins@1966@gmail. And save that here. And we can then go back to the deal and we can email him what that is. So that way it automatically logs that in this deal here. So those are a few things that I've kind of seen that I wanted to kind of clarify on how we use this and what it is that we do through it. Also, if you want to create a task, you can do that through here. And let's say he walked in today, he said I'm going to go talk to my wife about it. So from here, we want to schedule, we want to call him. We want to call him on Monday. We told him we would call him and check in with him. So call the customer. We want to call him. Let's say we want to give him the weekend to talk to his wife. So I'm going to call him on Monday. Then you put some notes in here. See what his wife thought. Okay, we'll save that task. So, and that's going to give us an email reminder. You can have this or not have this. Setting the due date, all those good things. So, anyway, I hope this clears up a couple of things. I'll do a couple more of these videos to kind of talk about some other aspects of the CRM. But if you have any questions, just let me know. Thanks.